Hello and welcome. How would you like to see us make so many mistakes while trying to construct this model of the Colosseum? It's by Cubic Fun and we picked it up from rainbowresources.com. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the box and let you see what's inside. So first up is it comes with some information about the Colosseum and its history and some very brief instructions in the very back. So it's basically about 8 or so pieces of this foam core, and there are numbers printed next to each of these pieces, and the numbers are not printed on the pieces themselves. So I didn't realize this when I first opened up the box, and I went ahead and began to take some of the pieces apart. So here are some of the directions, and you can see that they're quite general and not too specific. But if you don't make mistakes, they work perfectly. So I've told my son to go ahead and take all the pieces out and to punch out all the little holes. And we were using a paper piercer, and then eventually we used a different tool. And so this took him about maybe a half an hour or maybe 20 minutes to remove all the pieces and punch out all the holes. Now, punching out the holes was a great idea, but removing all the pieces set us back big time. So here my kids are in a time-lapse video beginning to construct this, and they are thrilled and they're excited and they want to buy every single model that Cubic Fun makes. And very quickly they realize that they can't construct the pieces because they don't know which piece goes where because they don't have any numbers on them. So they had spent about 25 minutes to a half an hour putting all the pieces back inside the foam core so that we would know which piece goes where. But by this time they had utterly given up and they stormed out of the room, and I came in to try to figure out what they were so upset about. And so that's me trying to fix I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm trying to put these pieces together, but I'm having a tough time because I don't realize that the pieces won't fit together because we put some of the previous pieces in wrong. And so there are 3 tiers on the outside of the Colosseum. And what my son had done is he had placed them in first before putting in the exterior pieces, and so then it was really hard to nudge them in place. So I basically had to remove the work that he did and then begin again. But I had assumed that he had put them in the right spot. And so here I'm figuring out that something's not quite right, that these pieces are not in the correct spot. Even though they're really similar, there are actually some differences between these exterior platform pieces. And so now I'm kind of figuring that something's not quite right. So, and in doing so, I was frustrated and I started clipping some little pieces thinking that it was manufactured wrong and why aren't there little holes for these slots? And so anyway, I had to kind of start again. And here I am making mistake number 5 and not realizing that there was a difference between the lower level platform and the higher level platform, in that the higher level had more slots in it to fit the very top tier. And so at I had to go all the way back to the beginning and remove all the pieces and start again. And so it wasn't so much fun at this point, and I've pretty much, gotten frustrated also. But then once the exterior is completely done, then we can move on to the interior. But my kids were a little bit careless in putting these pieces in, and they're marked 16 and 17, and they had put some in the wrong spot. And so this very bottom piece doesn't fit the bottom of the Colosseum because there wasn't enough space for it. So once I figured that part out, and really it took me a long time to figure out these mistakes because I'm assuming that these are in the right place, and it just didn't even occur to me that they weren't. And so once I do that, then I feel like this process is going to go pretty well. But now I'm showing you video at just normal speed. It's not fast forward or anything. And this is how long it takes me to put some of these pieces together, because I don't realize that this piece needs to be kind of angled. And I think at this point my kids would have done a great job had I just given them the box right from the start and let them put the whole thing together without thinking that by removing all the pieces and getting a head start the night before was a good idea, because it really set us back big time, and it caused so many little mistakes to add up to huge mistakes that by the end of it, I was like, I don't even know that this was worth it. And so I'm finally realizing that this is in the right spot. It just needs to be slightly angled for it to come together. And once I figure that out, then all these other pieces can be assembled really easily. And so at this point, my kids are long gone. I believe they're doing some math begrudgingly because I kind of gave them the choice either to, plow through this project or go do another assignment. And so they left and I continued. And at this point, we're kind of like towards the end, and it's feeling really satisfying getting these pieces in place, in part because there are not that many more pieces to choose from. So I'm pretty confident that we're not going to be making any more mistakes. But don't worry, I still managed to make a few. These different tiers have specific spots, and they do need to be in a particular order. And if you mess up one time in the beginning, it's not going to work out 3 or 4 steps down. And so it's really important that you are really accurate and precise at the beginning so that you don't end up having to take your pieces apart later on, because the more you do that, the more they get bent and it's harder to put in place. So this is what it looks like when it's done, and it's really nice, and it's actually quite sturdy, and it's the base is larger than a sheet of paper, so it's quite large, and my kids enjoyed putting their little Roman soldiers inside, even though the scale is completely off. Okay guys, thanks for watching.